here's your host, John, with more classic movie reviews.
Happy New Year. Welcome to today's show. My name is John. As always, you can subscribe to the show on iTunes or follow the links to social media in the podcast show notes. You can also go to snarkymoviereviews.com to read notes, bios, and other random movie thoughts. Remember, this show is completely free and independent. All I ask is that you jump over to iTunes and give me a review. This movie was requested by Rick. Thanks for the suggestion because this is a movie I didn't know too well. Today's movie is It Happened One Night, 1934. This Depression-era comedy is ranked number 35 on the American Film Institute's 100 Greatest American Movies of All Times and number 8 on the AFI's 100 Funniest Movies of All Time. This movie won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Actor Clark Gable, Best Actress Claudette Colbert, Best Director Frank Capra, Best Writing Adaptation Robert Riskin. Clark Gable was loaned out for this film as punishment for having an affair with Joan Crawford. He won his only Oscar for his work in this film. Effective punishment. I also have a flash message about Bugs Bunny at the end, so don't leave early.
The actors.
Clark Gable played the role of Peter, a newspaper man looking for a story. Gable was covered in episode 14, Band of Angels, 1957. Alan Hale was cast in the role of Danker. Hale was covered in episode 80, The Adventures of Robin Hood, 1938. Ward Bond had a very small, uncredited role as a bus driver. He added a little humor. Bond was covered in episode 53, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Claudette Colbert played Ellie, the runaway rich girl. Colbert was born in France in 1903. Her family moved to America when she was 3. When she finished high school, she studied at the Art Student League and worked in a dress shop. In 1923, she was cast in her first Broadway play. After a time, she switched to film, with her first movie being For the Love of Mike, 1927. This film bombed, but with theaters beginning to close due to the Great Depression, she continued making movies including The Lady Lies, 1929, The Hole in the Wall, 1929, Manslaughter, 1930 with Frederick Marsh, Honor Among Lovers, 1931, Cecil B. DeMille's The Sign of the Cross, 1932, where she played an evil character, The Phantom President, 1932 with Jimmy Durante, Inka Dinka Doo, and Tonight Is Ours, 1933. In 1934, she was in Four Frightened People, 1934, but her next 2 films made her a star. These were the DeMille-directed Cleopatra, 1934, and It Happened One Night, 1934, where her pairing with Clark Gable made movie magic. The rest of the 1930s and the first half of the 1940s saw her in solid roles such as Private Worlds, 1935, The Gilded Lily, 1935, Drums Along the Mohawk, 1939, No Time for Love, 1943, and Since You Went Away, 1944, where Colbert earned a 3rd Oscar nomination. By 1945, her star power was waning. She did some television work and a scattering of films. Colbert returned to the theater in 1956. A series of strokes forced her to stop working, and she died in 1996 at the age of 92. Roscoe Carnes played the role of Shapley, a rather important character. Carnes started working on stage at the age of 15. He mostly played a streetwise character that gave his lines in rapid fire. Although his heyday was in the 1930s, he worked from the 1920s through the 1960s. Other than this movie, he had an important role in His Girl Friday, 1940.
Story.
Ellie Andrews, Claudette Colbert, is being held on her father's yacht because her father does not approve of her marriage to wealthy aviator King Westley. Her father is having the marriage annulled.
Can't you get it through your head that King Westley and I are married? Definitely, legally, actually married. It's over, it's finished, there's nothing you can do about it. I'm over 21 and so is he.
Would it interest you to know that while you've been on board, I've been making arrangements to have your marriage annulled?
Eventually, she quarrels with her father and then jumps overboard. She swims to shore and her father hires a detective agency to locate her. She has a lady buy a ticket for her and dodges the detectives in the bus station. In a phone booth is what seems to be a drunk reporter named Peter Warren, Clark Gable, being fired by his boss.
There's a man biting a dog in there.
In a pig's eye, you will.
Hey,
Listen, monkey face, when you fired me, you fired the best news hound your filthy scandal she'd ever had.
Say, listen, you wouldn't know a newspaper story if it reached up and kicked you in the pants.
Peter boards the bus, followed by a fanfare of drunks. There are newspapers in the last seat, and Peter throws them off the bus. The bus driver, Ward Bond, has words with Peter, but he is outwitted.
What you need's a good sock on the nose. Listen, partner, you may not like my nose, but I do. I always wear it out in the open, where if anybody wants to take a sock at it, they can do it. Oh, yeah? Now, that's a brilliant answer. Why didn't I think of it? Our conversation could have been over long ago. Oh, yeah? If you keep that up, we're not going to get anywhere. Oh, yeah? You got me. Yeah!
When Peter goes to the seat, Ellie has slipped on board and has taken both seats. He forces her to move over. At the first rest stop, a man steals her bag and Peter chases her, but he gets away. This leaves Ellie with only $4 to make the trip from Florida to New York. Back on the bus, Ellie takes another seat rather than sit with Peter. When the man next to her falls asleep on her, she joins Peter on the back seat. In the morning, she wakes snuggling with Peter. She is embarrassed. They have 30 minutes to eat, but she heads into a hotel in town, expecting the driver of the bus to wait. When she gets back, the bus and her luggage is gone, but Peter is waiting for her. He returns her ticket that she left on the seat. He calls her by her real name and says her story is in all of the newspapers. Ellie offers him a reward to help her get to New York. He throws down and says he is not interested in her or any of her problems. Peter then sends a telegram to his boss in New York pitching the story. At 8 that night, Ellie gets on the bus but sits with another man instead of Peter. The man, shapely, Roscoe Carnes, starts putting the hard press on her.
Hi, sister. All alone? My name's Shapley. Might as well get acquainted. It's going to be a long trip. Gets tiresome later on, especially for somebody like you. You look like you got class. Yes, sir, with a Captain K. And I'm the guy that knows class when he sees it. Believe you me. Ask any of the boys, they'll tell you. Shapley sure knows how to pick 'em. Yes, sir. Shapley's a name, and that's the way I like 'em. You made no mistake sitting next to me. Just between us, the kind of mugs you meet on a hop like this ain't nothing to write home to the wife about.
Peter comes over and says Ellie is his wife and makes Shapley change seats. The bus is stopped by the police because a bridge is washed out. The police say there is an auto camp a piece up the road. Peter books a room saying that they are a married couple. He hangs a rope across the room and hangs a blanket to divide the room.
That, I suppose, makes everything quite all right.
Well, this? Well, I like privacy when I retire. Yes, I'm very delicate in that respect. Prying eyes annoy me. Behold the walls of Jericho. Maybe not as thick as the ones that Joshua blew down with his trumpet, but a lot safer. You see, I have no trumpet.
The director of the film, Frank Capra, came up with this divider that is called the Wall of Jericho. In reality, Colbert refused to undress on camera. Peter says he wants the story and he will help her get to her husband. If she doesn't go along, he will turn her in to her father. When Gable was getting undressed, they found that he could not keep his timing while he pulled off his t-shirt. So they shot it without him wearing a t-shirt. Sales of t-shirts dropped after Gable was seen not wearing one. In the morning, as her father flies north, Ellie learns about sharing bathrooms and having to take care of herself.
Are the showers in there?
Well, they ain't out here. If you want a shower around here, you'll stand in line.
Shapley shows up by the shower and accosts her again to apologize for the previous night. Peter gives Ellie a lesson on donut dunking. A pair of detectives show up, so Peter and Ellie put on an act of being a married couple. They start a big argument, and the detectives fall for the act. Peter keeps sending telegrams to his editor while her father becomes more and more frantic. Her father offers a $10,000 reward and sends her picture to the newspapers. Back on the bus, Shapley sees the story and recognizes her. They have a little entertainment as people on the bus sing The Man on the Flying Trapeze. Frank Capra cast himself as one of the singers of the third stanza. Singing along, the driver runs off the road and gets the bus stuck in the mud. A lady is knocked out and Ellie tends to her. Her small son says they haven't had anything to eat. Ellie gives Peter's money to the family. Outside of the bus, Shapley pitches splitting the reward. Peter makes out that he is a convict and they will need guns. He said he and his gang are holding her for $1 million reward.
Lucky thing by running into you. Just the man I need.
You made no mistake, believe you me.
I can use a smart guy like you.
Say, listen, when you're talking to old man Shapley, you're talking
You take a get.
Huh?
A get. Rod. Got any fireworks on you?
Well, no.
Well, that's all right. I got a couple of machine guns in my suitcase. I'll let you have one of them. May have a little trouble up north to have to shoot it out with the cops.
Shapley panics and Peter says he might shoot him. Peter tells Shapley about Bugs Dooley opening his mouth and getting punished by the mob. Shapley runs away in the dark. Peter spits with pride until it falls on his shoulder. Peter and Ellie leave the bus in case Shapley tells. Peter also tells her that the money she gave away is the last they had. He carries her across a stream. They bed down in a hayfield for the night. Peter goes off and Ellie starts screaming, thinking he has left her.
I can get along. Peter? Peter! Oh, Peter! Peter! Peter!
He returns with a bunch of raw carrots. As he gives her his coat for the night, Peter almost kisses Ellie. In the morning, Peter gives Ellie a lesson on hitchhiking. He is very proud of his technique and even says he may write a book about hitchhiking one day.
So suppose nobody stops for us, huh?
They'll stop, all right. It's all a matter of knowing how to hail them.
Oh, and you're an expert, I suppose.
Expert. I'm going to write a book about it. Call it The Hitchhiker's Hail.
There's no end to your accomplishments, isn't there?
He fails miserably and is humiliated. Peter begins chomping on the raw carrots he collected the previous night. Finally, Ellie goes to the edge of the road and hikes her skirt to reveal her leg. The next car slams on the brakes. Colbert originally refused to show her leg, but reconsidered after they used a stunt leg. I mean a real leg attached to a real woman as a stand-in. The car is driven by Danker, Alan Hale. He sings and drives him to a store where they sell food. Since the pair doesn't have any money, they wait outside. When they are out of the car, Danker jumps in and drives off with Peter's luggage. Peter runs after the car and returns driving the car and has blood coming out of his temple. Peter explains that Danker robs people of their luggage and he had to leave him tied to a tree.
What happened to you? I've been so worried.
Come on, get in.
Look at your face. You've got a cut. What happened?
Oh, just a road thief. Picks people up and then runs off with their things. What a racket.
How'd you get the car?
I gave him a black eye for it and had to tie him up to a tree.
The pair drives along and Ellie slowly eats the raw carrots. Ellie's father and King Wesley meet, and the father agrees to allow them to remain married. Peter and Ellie check into another cabin, and Ellie sees the paper showing the wedding is back on. They set up the room with the wall of Jericho. That night, Ellie asks Peter if they will ever see each other again. He says not, and then talks about the kind of girl he would want to marry. She says she loves him and wants to go away with him, but Peter sends her back to her side of the wall. Ellie goes back to the bed, sobbing, and when she falls asleep, Peter heads to New York. He has to sell his hat for gas money. He goes to a bar and types his story. Peter sells the story of true love to his old boss for $1,000. This is so he will have enough money to propose. He says the money is to tear down the wall of Jericho. Back at the auto camp, the wife of the owner sees that the car is gone.
I told you couldn't trust him. He's gone.
Who?
Well, that fellow was going to stay here a week, that's who. He skipped and took the car with him, too. We wouldn't known a thing about it till morning if I hadn't took that magnesia.
They bust in on Ellie and throw her out. They won't even let Ellie use the phone and send her to the sheriff's office. Ellie phones her father for help. The newspaper editor finds out that Ellie has turned herself in and he thinks Peter has tricked him out of $1,000. Peter is heading south in the old jalopy when he is passed by Ellie's father heading to pick her up, complete with a police escort and sirens. While stopped at a train crossing, Peter sees the rescue column and Ellie heading north. He turns his car around and follows, but the car finally gives out. Peter comes back into the newspaper office and leaves the money with the secretary. He says to tell the editor that he was just kidding. The editor sees through the lie. Peter is angry and goes to see Ellie's father on the day of the wedding, presumably to get the $10,000 reward. Her father has talked to Ellie, and he knows that his daughter doesn't really want to marry King Wesley. Ellie sees a letter from Peter and thinks he doesn't love her. When Peter meets with Ellie's father, all he wants is $39.60 for expenses.
I got it all itemized.
Cash outlay, $8.60. Top coat, $15. Suitcase, $7.50. Hat, $4. 3 shirts, $4.50. Total, $39.60. All the above items had to be sold to buy gasoline.
And I sold some shorts and socks, too. I'm throwing those in.
Yes, I know.
What's the matter? Isn't it cheap enough? A trip like that would cost you $1,000, maybe more.
Now, let me get this straight. You want $39.60 in addition to the $10,000.
What, 10,000?
The reward.
Who said anything about a reward?
I'm afraid I'm a little bit confused. I assumed that
Look. All I want is $39.60.
Peter admits that he loves Ellie. The father thinks Peter is okay. Ellie and Peter have a little spat in the foyer. For the wedding, King Wesley arrives in a gyrocopter. Ellie's father walks her down the aisle, but he hasn't given up. He tells her about the $39.60 and that Peter loves her.
You're a sucker to go through with this. That guy Warren is okay. He didn't want the reward. All he asked for was $39.60, what he spent on you. Said it was a matter of principle. You took him for a ride.
He tells her that her car is waiting. In front of the preacher, Ellie does the runaway bride thing and jumps into her car. Ellie's father sends a check for $100,000 to King Wesley, and the first marriage is annulled. Later, he gets a telegram that the walls of Jericho are crumbling.
There's another wire from Peter. They're in Glen Falls, Michigan.
What's holding up the annulment, you slowpoke? The walls of Jericho are toppling. Send him a telegram right away. Just say, let him topple.
When Peter and Ellie get the word that she is no longer married, a trumpet blows and the curtain wall falls to the ground.
They made me get 'em a rope and a blanket on a night like this. What do you reckon that's for?
Them fine, though. I just brung them a trumpet.
A trumpet?
Yeah, one of them toy things they sent me to the store to get it.
Well, what in the world do they want a trumpet for?
Dunno.
Notes. Spaceballs, 1987, directed by Mel Brooks, is one of many films that parodied or spoofed It Happened One Night, 1934. When Princess Vespa is walking down the aisle, her father, King Roland, tells her that Lone Star only asked for the cost of his trip and not the reward. Fritz Freeling, one of the developers of Bugs Bunny, in his unpublished memoirs, states that It Happened One Night was one of his favorite films. Freeling said that this movie contributed to the creation of Bugs Bunny in 3 ways. He has the personality of Shapley, the manners of Peter, eating carrots and talking quickly, and the name Bugs Dooley as the name of the man that betrayed the mob. He also said that Ellie's father, played by Walter Conley, and King Wesley, played by James Thomas, were the models for Yosemite Sam and Pepe Le Pew, respectively.
Here's the world-famous short summary.
Couple goes on an extended first date. If you enjoyed this week's show, please tell your friends. And if you really want to help, drop over to iTunes and give me a review. If you want to comment, recommend a movie, or just say hi, follow the links in the show notes to my site. Beware the Moors.
Reviews? We got no reviews. We have no reviews. We don't need no stinking reviews.